The Summer Olympics of 2024 in Paris marks the Olympic debut of breaking, or breakdancing for us regular folks. And more than perhaps any new event in recent memory, this one has stirred up a ton of controversy. And you know what? It should be stirring up controversy, and that's because it shouldn't be in the Olympics. There, I said it. It had to be said. Let's dive into my reasons why today. It's more entertainment than sport. The Olympic Games has long been a celebration of universal human capabilities measured through equitable and transparent competition. It's been all about celebrating athletic achievements from the very beginning. So given that, where does that leave breaking? Breakdancing certainly demands physical prowess. I'm not here to argue otherwise. It's incredibly physical and mighty difficult, no doubt about it. But its evaluation often hinges on artistic expression rather than purely athletic skill. And don't get me wrong, that artistic expression is amazing. It's fascinating to watch. It requires real skill on the part of the b-boy or the b-girl. But this seriously complicates the adherence to the stated and long-established core Olympic tenets of excellence and respect through uniform sportsmanship standards. It just doesn't align with what the people at the Olympics say the Olympics are supposed to be about, full stop. As a result, integrating breaking risks transforming the games into a platform where artistic exhibition overshadows disciplined athletic achievement, where it becomes about entertainment and not about sport. And I know I'm sounding like an old stick in the mud here. I get it, I can hear it. And if this was my only reason to exclude this, it would be a weak argument. But there is so much more to discuss. Other dancing events have been blocked. Notice that the Olympics and the participants in the event call it breaking and not breakdancing. Don't get me wrong, they can call it whatever they want, it's their passion. But in the context of today's video, I think it's super telling and kind of gives away the whole thing. If you call it breakdancing, then you have to admit it's dancing. It's right there in the name, there's no hiding it. And as soon as you admit that it's a form of dancing, you've got a huge problem when it comes to being included at the Olympics. And that's because over the history of the Olympics, there have been many dance-related events that have been on the radar, but ultimately failed. For example, ballroom dancing has been lobbying to be included in the Olympics, but it never happened. Ski ballet was attempted as a demonstration event, but it sucked hard and it never made it to the actual Olympics as a medal event. Heck, they even tried water skiing as an artistic demonstration event at the 1972 Munich Olympics, but obviously it didn't work. The bottom line is that breakdancing is dancing, and that's not an Olympic event. Almost nobody would consider it a good idea to have ballet or jazz or tap or any other form of dancing at the Olympics. Breakdancing may have different skills and different cultures surrounding it, but it's no better or no worse than any of these other forms of dance, and thus it shouldn't be at the Olympics. But there's more still. Let's keep going. It's super subjective. Most sports and events have very simple ways of determining who wins and who loses. You touch the wall in swimming first after covering a certain distance. You cross the finish line first in running after covering a certain distance. You win a match against the other team in basketball or table tennis or badminton or handball, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. But how do you evaluate success in breaking? The Olympics, in my opinion, already has an issue with judged events. I'm not saying they shouldn't have any judged events, though many will make that argument, but it introduces this layer of subjectivity, which can be tough for folks to stomach, and it can lead to controversy or bribery, as it's happened before. But it's also an issue for the spectator, who generally will lack the expertise to know the specific details of what makes some performances better than others. Again, this doesn't disqualify an event automatically, that's not what I'm saying, but it makes it tougher. And when it comes to breakdancing, it's actually even worse. Per the Olympics themselves, the performances will be evaluated on 6 criteria: creativity, personality, technique, variety, performativity, and musicality. The experts in breakdancing and even the performers themselves would have a hard time defining all of these. So how do judges hand out medals for that? Like if you ask 10 participants about these 6 criteria, you'll probably get 10 different answers. And isn't that a huge problem? It opens up so many more questions than it answers. And if the folks in the event can't agree on a set of standards, I don't see how this can be in the Olympics. Now, in fairness, there are other sports and events that are subjective, and to a large degree, those issues have been resolved, or at least managed within the confines of what they're willing to accept. But breakdancing seems to be a distance away from that at this point, so until that's sorted out, it's difficult to include this one in the Olympics. It goes against the spirit of breakdancing. Okay, I want to be careful here. I want to be clear. I'm no expert breakdancer, so I'm including this as an observer of commentary from more experienced and educated folks in the space. But the argument makes so much sense that it's worth including and discussing here. Many performers have outlined the logical point that by creating a set of standards and judging criteria, even if those judging criteria are tough to define like we talked about, you are now forcing the performers into checking certain boxes in order to win a medal. And this makes absolutely no sense for something like breakdancing, which has been built and developed and evolved around freedom of expression, around trying new and different things, around bringing an individual personal artistry to your performance. How do you do that in the Olympics and align with that spirit of breakdancing? As soon as you tell performers that they have to fit into some mold, you are literally saying the polar opposite of what breakdancing represents. And you don't have this to the same degree in other events, even in judged events. So it feels like a massive compromise for the breakdancing community. There are better ways to bring in younger viewers. So the International Olympic Committee has made no secret of the fact that breakdancing was brought to the Olympics in order to try and draw in younger viewers. And look, I totally get that. That's just logical for the IOC to want to attract each subsequent generation to the Olympic movement. After all, no matter what folks say, this is a business, full stop. But first off, the IOC bringing in breakdancing feels a bit like your awkward parents hanging around your friend and trying to sound cool, which is just strange on its own. But second, they actually had way better options than breakdancing if that was their goal. There is something called the Youth Olympic Games, which are held every 4 years, and it's a great proving ground for what works and doesn't work for younger generations. It's only been around since 2010, but it's off to a great start, and it's fascinating. Breaking was included at these games for only 1 year in 2018 before being promoted to the full Olympics. To me, that seems like a really short evaluation period, but hey, what do I know? But even at those Youth Olympic Games, there were way better options, in my opinion, for promotion to the Olympics to appeal to younger people. 3-on-3 basketballs there, BMX cycling, futsal, beach handball, inline speed skating. These are just some of the unique events they have or have had at the Youth Olympics that aren't in the full Olympics. And I think pretty much any of those options, or others even, would have been more popular amongst the youth, and they'd also hold way greater spectator value for the larger population. And even more than that, most or all of those events don't have the other issues we've been discussing today. Most aren't judged events, so that's not an issue. Most don't have to compromise the culture of the sport, so that's not an issue. So all this just feels like a huge swing and a miss by the IOC to include breaking over one of the other, far better options. Well, there you have it. And in conclusion, I know this is a controversial topic, to be sure. And while I've drawn my line in the sand, I'm super curious as to what your thoughts are on breaking in the Olympics. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If I missed any points you think should have been included, put them there. If you have a counter argument as to why it should be in the Olympics, let's hear it. Looking forward to talking more soon.